Hi, I'm Daniel Luckett, and this is my audience.
Garrett.
David.
Lynette.
Dalton.
Angel.
Whoa. The best way to learn a lesson is for it to actually happen to you instead of somebody telling you how it is and what it feels like. The lesson that I learned was about wrecking a vehicle. It was 2 years ago, my sophomore year in high school. There was a snowstorm that closed down school for 4 days, and I decided that I wanted to buy a truck right before it happened. We went and bought the truck and drove it home, and then the snowstorm hit, so I couldn't drive it. The day that I could, I went to town and put license and insurance on it so I could drive it. Then the Sunday after I got licensed, the basketball team decided to have a shoot around and play basketball. So I went to the school, and after we were done, I went outside to start the truck, and it wouldn't start. So I had a friend take me home, and my brother came back with me, and we figured out that the battery cable ends were corroded. So after we fixed it, it started up, and he asked me if I was taking gravel or blacktop home, and not listening to him, I took the highway instead of the gravel. I went around a corner and slowed down so I wouldn't slide off in the ditch. After the corner was a small hill, and whenever I was going up the hill, I started sliding and fishtailing. And before I knew it, I was sideways in the road and heading towards the ditch. The next thing I remember, I was upside down, and the truck ignition was still on. So I turned it off and looked over and saw that my passenger window was busted out, so I crawled out. I couldn't find my boot, and it was laying out in the snow. And I walked around, looked at it, and called my brother. He told me not to touch anything, and he was going to be there shortly. So he called my mom, and she was on the phone with my dad at the time, and threw the phone across the house and ran outside without any shoes or a coat on, and then realized that it was only about 20 degrees outside. So she put some shoes on and still didn't grab a coat. And when she got there, my brother had already arrived, and we were on the other side of the truck, and she couldn't see us, so she started crying and freaking out, thinking that the worst had happened. And after she realized that I was still walking around and standing, then she calmed down. And a few people stopped and asked if everything was okay, and we told them yeah, and they drove on. After we decided what we were going to do, we went back to the house, and we figured out that one of the people called the sheriff, so he had to come to our house and get a statement and write a report about it. After he left, we called my dad, and he decided we needed to call a wrecker and have them deal with it instead of us trying to do it. And I went to bed because I was tired and sore, and they called the wrecker, and he brought it home and dropped it off. And then we decided to fix my truck instead of buying a new one. So we replaced the windows and all that. But it still has all the dents and the caved in bed. So every time I look at it, it reminds me of how lucky I was to have been able to walk around without a scratch on me. And before that, people would always talked about what it's like to do that. But I'd never really understood until it actually happened to me. Then you realize how lucky you actually are. Thank you.